A B-52 uses more than just brakes to stop after landing. It deploys a parachute, also known as a drag chute, but it doesn't magically pack itself.
It's not difficult, it's more tedious than anything.
It takes an entire crew, some practice, a little bit of patience, and a whole lot of perfectionism to get the job done.
Packing these chutes, you do have to be a perfectionist. Growing up, everyone always says you can't be perfect. Well, we have to be perfect.
In the Air Force, attention to detail can be the difference between life and death. Having rocks and debris packed in with the chute can cause it to not deploy correctly.
We fan out the canopy and we go through each line. There are 48 gores and lines on the parachute, so we go through each one by hand and all the rocks come out.
This crew is responsible for the lives of the airmen who fly day in and day out on the Buff.
It can definitely be a little nerve-wracking because we know that we are responsible for lives. So when we do pull these in, it's showtime essentially, and we have to do our best.
The smallest knot can mean the difference between the perfect deployment and a malfunction, putting the aircrew and the aircraft at risk.
We are tying off the drag parachute lines. The main purpose is for packing purposes, but it's also so that whenever it deploys, the lines don't get tangled.
And let the fun begin, or not. These airmen not only have all hands on deck, but their feet as well.
Although this might look like fun, it's actually a lot harder than you think. This crew needs to stomp on this 90-foot-long chute in order to make it fit in this 3.5 feet tall bag.
Training never stops.
You always want to be right at that middle line of knowing what you're doing, but still double, triple, quadruple checking everything.
And then there's the maintenance crew. They are in charge of a lot of things, like loading 2 kinds of parachutes into the plane's tail.
So this is a pilot chute. So once the pilot will pull the handle upstairs, it'll pop this little pilot chute out, which catches wind, and then it'll grab the main chute and bring the jet to a stop.
A big plane needs a big parachute. Believe it or not, the B-52's drag chute weighs almost 200 pounds. The Buff uses these parachutes for several reasons.
Anytime it's raining, it must be popped, or when you have crosswinds greater than 30 knots. And then when the runway is about less than a mile, that's when we really need a drag chute.
This chute also reduces wear and tear on the brakes. Every member of the B-52 team knows their contribution is important.
There's many maintainers that keep the Buff flying, but when it comes down to it, crew chiefs do it all.
While these airmen know this is serious business, this friendly competition keeps the job fun. Roxette Pietri-Freeman, KTBS 3 News.